Hi there, welcome back for part two of the lesson, and this is when we're going to be identifying strengths and targets in our own work. So you'll need the work you did last week in front of you, and you'll need to be able to see the whole class feedback sheet your teacher gave you. So just go through what we've done previously. We talked about these ones up here earlier, but we've now annotated a waggle analytical paragraph. So we have these three left to do today. And it's these two here, these identified strengths in your analytical paragraphs and identified areas for improvement you're going to be doing in this lesson. Again, I'd like you to reread your paragraphs, thinking about how we did the waggle. So you've got those notes in front of you. I want you to read them again. Pause the video, read them through, read every word, take 4 minutes per paragraph, and think if there's anything now that you could identify as strengths in your work. I want to know what's good about it. So pause there, please. And then we'll move on. So you should have a Key Stage 3 learning feedback sheet like this. This is one that I've created. It doesn't refer to any class. And the first thing we're going to have a look at again is here. So this is the shout out and house point box. So just to say well done to those people named by their teachers in here. You will be have given house points, and also your sentences will be the exemplar sentences shown to your class. I did this last time, and I had some interesting responses from quite a lot of people, so I'm going to do it again as it's the last week of term. Anyone who is able to email me telling me what these names have in common will have a house point. And I'd be really interested to see if anyone gets that one. It was just a bit of fun because I was making this sheet up, so I thought I'd put those ones in. Right. So there we go. We're going to now look over here at the strengths. So your teacher will have given you 3 or 4 strengths that as a class you have shown in your work. So the first thing I want you to do is to have a look in your work and identify where you've made these where you've reached these strengths. I know you've already had a look at your work, but I'm going to ask you to do that again. So I'm going to ask you to pause here and identify where you've done those strengths that your teacher has identified, not the ones you can see here. So pause there. Okay, so you've had a look, you've celebrated those strengths in your work. Maybe you've highlighted them or labeled them, but you know where you did well, and that's really good. So that's something worth celebrating right now. Well done. We're now going to go from these to look at our exemplar sentences. Remember, these were written by the people who got the shout outs. You read these because these are the ones that were in the waggle paragraph, but you'll see that your teacher, for each one, has said which strength it is an example of. Okay, so if you're not quite sure, now's the time to have a look at those and think, oh, okay, so this one here, yep, that names the writer in the story. It might do more things, but that's the one that your teacher picked up on. This one here, yep, our quotation's embedded here. Our inferences have been discussed in this one and in this one. And here we've gone down to talk about a word type and identified it correctly. So there's some exemplar sentences that people in your class, or in fact you, have written. And again, there's your class strength. So I'd like you to, you've already done this, but there we go. If you haven't, go back again, highlight, label in your work where you can show your strengths. Now, again, you're going to go back, you're going to read. You're going to think about, now you know what you did well, where could you have improved? So I'll say it again, about 4 minutes per paragraph, read every word, read it through twice. Is there anything you think you could improve? I'll ask you to pause there. And then we'll go through and we'll look at the improvement areas you had. So we're looking at these boxes at the bottom now. Everyone needs to focus on at least one of these targets. There's nothing that everybody in your class did. Remember, there's a challenge stretch target down there as well that maybe lots of people wouldn't have done. So if you haven't done it, you need to do it in your final paragraph today. If you have done it, great. If you haven't, you need to do it. A few of you might need to focus on all of them, but don't just assume. If you think you've done it, make sure you know where you've done it. So I just want you to highlight a label where you could meet these targets if you haven't already. Pause there, please. Okay, and then finally, same as last week, all these links on your whole class feedback sheet will take you to a place in a video where I've shown you how to do this and talk through it. So if you're really not sure, you need to click on those links. You need to watch that part and do that part of that lesson again, because it will teach you again how to do these skills. So that's where I'm going to leave you for this lesson. I'm going to leave you to go off and do your own research on these skills, and then I'll meet you back here for part 3 of the lesson, and I'll see you then. Thank you.